All right. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Exampreptool. Do you want to start your career in the IT industry? Worried about how to start and where to start? That is the reason we have launched brand new unique courses which will help you to crack your high paid dream jobs. What is that course, sir? As you can see that a new program which is industry ready course on DSA and Oracle Database with a real time project. Right? So you all know that nowadays data related roles are becoming so much popular. They are paid very well, right? But industry is always expecting the skilled professionals who can work on the projects independently and who can provide the solutions to the real world business problems, right? And the fundamental question is you should ask is that since the demand in the market is very high for the data related roles, are you good at a database technologies like SQL and PLSQL? Do you have a good problem solving ability? Which is, are you able to solve any algorithmic related problems? Are you good at data structures and algorithms? Being a computer science student, are you able to handle a large volume of data? Right? Being a computer science student, are you able to automate the database related activities? Are you able to provide an optimized solution to your business problem? Please try to question all these things. If not, if answer is no, if not, this is the perfect course for you, where we will be covering each and everything. What is that? Industry ready course on DSA and Oracle Database. Right? What is that? Industry ready course on data structures and algorithms, also Oracle Database with a real time project. Right? Please try to question yourself before joining anything. Right? And after completing the course, what kind of roles you can expect? Right? What kind of roles you can expect, sir? So if you complete this course, you can start your career as a database developer or data analyst. Since you are learning data structures and algorithm, if you learn the Python syntaxes and semantics, then you can very well try for the data analyst roles as well. And also this is very much sufficient course for starting your career as a data engineer and data scientist related positions. Let me tell you one thing. So for data engineers and data analyst roles, data scientist roles, so you need to add little more other technologies as well. So this course will become a very strong foundation for learning the other technologies as well. Right? In this course, we are going to start everything from the very basic level, from the scratch, and we will take you to the level where you can work on the very complex problems also. Right? And one more thing, so whenever you are learning any technologies, don't just learn the technology, try to become a master in the technology so that job searching process will become so much easier to you. Are you getting? Yes. And one more important thing is that in case any of you struggling in career with a lot of career gap, I don't know what to do, and you want to start the career in the IT industry, so this course can help you to restart your career very properly, very strategically. So whatever required to restart your career, we are going to provide from our side. What is that, sir? Since we are saying this course will start from the very basic level and we will take you to the very advanced level. So once the course, after completing the course, you need to start working on the real-time project. For that, we will give the guidance properly. So you have to complete the real-time project. exactly similar to the industry, right? And after completing the course, you are going to get a course completion certificate. Along with that, if required, if you want to cover your career gap, if required, if necessary, on demand, if you request us, then we are going to provide you the experience certificate, which will be really relevant for the industry, which is relevant for the industry, right? So using that experience certificate, you can very well start your job searching process by covering the some experience, maybe 2 years or 3 years experience, right? For that, you have to prepare very well. You need to build a strong, solid foundation in such a way that your first interview will be the last interview. Are you getting? And also, one more important thing is that when you before you start the job searching process, it is recommended that you try to build a strong portfolio and showcase your skill set there and start job searching process. And you have to keep only one thing in mind, that your first interview will be the last interview, right? Yes. So in this course, we are going to take only limited set of people so that we can concentrate on each and every student very properly. So that is the reason we have a limit on the number of intake of students, right? Enroll today and start your learning journey so that you can work on the projects, right? You can contact us if you have any concerns. You can very well send a message. We will reply properly. We will give more information, right? So we are in the process of understanding the why DBMS is required, why DBMS is very important, right? As part of that, in the previous lecture, so we have seen the manual way of storing the data, which is a paper-based approach. And we have gone through so many problems, right? We have listed so many problems and we have understood everything in a very detailed way, right? And now in the today's lecture, we will try to concentrate and we will understand what is the better approach compared to the manual approach, right? Right? What is the better approach than the manual approach? Instead of storing the data in the papers and in the books, which is the ledgers, sales registers, and all, right? So we move to the better approach, which is a computer-based approach, file-based system, right? These are all the traditional way of storing the data. So before DBMS, they used to adopt so many approaches, right? It is a manual way of storing the data, and computer-based approach, which is initially they used to store the data in the computer files, and there is no programmatical capabilities for storing and retrieving the data. And then later we have moved and we have adopted one more very important approach, which is the file management system. On top of the files, we are going to have write so many application programs, and then we used to retrieve the data accordingly. For each and every file, we used to have a separate program as such, right? And then we have adopted database management system, which is a very better and reliable and secure way of storing the data, right? So here we will concentrate on computer based storage mechanism, file based system, right? And before going to that this approach, let us recap what we have seen in the previous lecture in a very brief way, right? So what are the so since you are storing the data in the manual way in the books, so what are the problems that are there? Basically, can you tell me? There is no point of security, there is no point of backup and recovery, durability problems are there, right? There is a higher chance of the human errors and redundancy will be there, right? Is a very time consuming, right? To search the data, to retrieve the data, it is very much time consuming, right? So that is the reason we need some better approach to store the data, right? And what is that? The computer based storage mechanism. So here you are going to store the data permanently on the digital storage mediums like hard disk, right? So when you adopt this computer based storage mechanism, then there is a chance that you will be having a very good security compared to the paper based approach, and you can search the data very quickly, and backup and recovery options also available, and automation support will be available, right? And reporting also you can very well work out and reporting as well, right? All right. So then we will understand. So why we have switched from the file based approach, paper based approach to the file based system? Because we have seen that there is a lot of problems, right? There is a lot of problems. As and when business is grows, the data also will increases, right? When the data is increasing, then lot of problems also will be there. You will be encountering lot of problems, right? So a lot of problems in terms of accuracy, data security, data consistency, right? You need to retrieve the data very quickly whenever customer is asking the data, right? All are the problems of the paper based approach. Now we have moved from paper based approach to the file based approach, which for that you are using the computer systems that you are using, right? And we will go and understand the what is the file based system, right? What is the file based system? So how do we use to store the data in the file based system? Can you tell me? Every day we are using the files, right? So in the file based system, you are storing the data in the electronic files, which are like text files. You can say that maybe text.txt file, .csv file, excel file, right? And .x file, and you are storing all this on the hard disks, or maybe USBs and SSD and some external storage devices, or maybe some shared folders over a network, right? How are you storing this data? By using the notepad and Excel and the file explorer, right? How does it work basically? So you are, as a user, you are going to create a files manually. First you create the folders, and then you organize the folders properly and create a files based on your business requirement, right? That is how we used to store the data in a file based system, right? How does it look like? You can see example files a.txt, data.csv file. Are you getting what I'm saying? Let us go ahead and understand, see more easier way, right? You can see there are 4 files are there. You can very well store in a text format, right? .txt, .csv, excel and word. And then you can store not only computer, you can also store in pen drives, right? Hard disk, USB, right? And also very well possible to share the data across using the mails, right? And also you can transfer the data files to the hard disk. It is easier to share the data between the different departments in the organizations, right? But still there are a lot of problems still there. We will see one by one. Okay, suppose let's say now you have a small grocery shop and grocery store, and it is gradually shifted from using the paper based approach to the file based approach, which is a computer based approach. Then what are the changes that had happened, right? Try to understand what are the changes that had happened when you are adopted this approach, file based approach, right? Even though you are using the file based approach, still what is the problem? You tell me. Everything you have to type manually and you have to store the data, right? Using the notepad and using the Excel. But the main advantage here is that the durability is there, and also this scalability also it is supporting. If not completely, at least somehow moderately, at a moderate level, it is supporting the scalability as well, right? That we will see in a later point of time. Now see, you can you are storing everything in a files, right? Here, yes, you can store the data separately according to the business requirement. As you can see in the image here, I have separated the three different categories here. One is the sales related data I am storing separately in a files, and expenses related data I am storing separately, and customers related data I am storing separately. Now try to see here sales data and customer data again, and we will come back and we will see this particular one, right? And now coming to the previous approach, you are going to store everything on the books, right? And you are going to store those on the wooden cabinets. Lot of space you are wasting, right? Lot of investment that you have to do to get that cabinets, right? Wooden cabinets. And but now in the computer, what you are doing, simply you are creating the folders and you are storing the files. You are creating the files. That's it. Simple, very simple approach, right? Yes, you can see image very clearly here, right? Observe carefully sales data and customers data, right? So whenever here, if you see, observe carefully here, again there will be always positive and negatives will be there in every approach, right? So when it is come to the business is very limited to the few certain customers, right? Then you can very well store using even paper also, paper based approach also fine, and also computer based approach also fine. But as and when data is grows and as and when business is grows, right, there is a lot of issues will be there, right? Right. So here you can see in the slide what we are talking advantages over the paper based approach, right? Yes, advantages will be there. You can store the data for a longer period of time. Durability will be there, scalability will be there, and then you very well you can share the data. And compared to the paper based approach, you have a lot of security here, right? And if you are using the Excel based storage files, then you can very well put a certain kind of validations, right? If you are very well good with Excel, then you'll be having a little bit of idea about those things, right? Yes. So you are avoided a lot of problems here compared to the manual approach. And still, but there are some other problems also there when the business is grows, when the data is very huge. If you want to store the huge volume of the data, still there will be a problem that you can think of, the duplications and inconsistency. Still possibility is there, right? Because you don't have a certain rules. You are not enforcing any rules to store the data. So that is the reason there is a higher chance of the redundancy of the data. Are you getting? And you can't even think of in the paper based approach, you can't even think of the backup. But here if you see here, you'll be having kind of backup support as well. I mean automation support as well, backup and automation support as well, right? You can recover the data whenever any file is corrupted, right? There is a chances that, but still that is a manual approach only. And also whenever you are storing the data in a different files, multiple files, so there is no relation between the one file to the another file. Everything is isolated completely, right? Whenever the files are isolated, whenever there is no linkage between these files, there will be a lot of problems that may arise, right? Okay. So this is what we are talking, right? Whenever the business is huge, whenever business is growing, so data always grows, right? In terms of you need to store the customers data huge. Whenever the business is huge, business is growing, so the data also will increases. That's what we are discussing, right? You need to store the more customers related data, more and more sales related data. You have to manage inventory related data, invoice related data. How can you handle all this data properly, right? Think of a data management. How can you think, how can you enforce more and more security and more robust mechanism here, right? Yes. So whenever business is growing, so slowly trouble will start. In terms of what kind of trouble, right? You need to create hundreds of files, thousands of files you need to create, and there is no link between the one file to the another file. What happens if there is no link between the one file to the other file, right? Think for a moment about these things. If there is no link between the one file to the another file, then what is the problem? And also one more important thing is the version control related problems also will come here, that we will see in a later point of time. And if file get corrupted, and if sensitive data got corrupted, then it is very difficult to manage those things also. Since data sharing is available, or maybe the multi-user access is available in a very limited way, but still there is a higher chance of that the data may be overwritten by some or other person. Data security problems are still there, right? Right? Lot of security problems will be still there, and we need to overcome all those problems, right? We will see that, right? So these are the terminologies that we have seen in the previous lecture as well, and now also we are going to cover, because these are the terminologies you are going to see very frequently, right? So you need to understand, as a database developer, you need to understand each and every terminology properly. Are you getting? So once this theory part is over, then we will enter into the completely practical, when we are going to switch to the completely the tools. We are going to do everything practically. There is no slides and all in the further classes, right? All right. Now we will see. So whenever we adopted this approach, computer-based approach, and what is the storage medium that you are using? You're going to store the data on the hard disk, right? In the form of what? Text files. It may be the .txt, CSV, and Excel files. So many other formats also there, right? And data retrieval. Now see, each and every criteria you try to understand carefully here, right? Data retrieval, how it is supporting compared to the previous approach, right? In the manual approach, it is very difficult because you need to go through the each and every file, right? If you want to get the last 5 years or 6 years data, past 6 years or 7 years data, then you need to go through each and everything manually, and you have to follow the linear search, right? It is a very difficult and time consuming part. When it comes to the computer based approach, it is comparatively very easier, very fast, right? All right. Why it is easy? Why it is faster compared to the previous approach? Why? Because you are going and searching manually. Even though manually, Control F, if you press in the Windows system, then it will search through the files, right? Or maybe if you are using the Unix based system, simple commands, right? Find or locate command you can use, right? Exactly. Right. What about the data security? Compared to the paper based approach, I can say security is better, but still there are a lot of issues also there. So if suppose, let's say, in the department, some other employee came and modifying the data that you written, right, you created, there is a chance is there, but still the files are secure compared to the previous approach. The operating system level permission that you will be giving, right? If you think of Unix based operating system, right, so you will be having very good security there, right? If you are a user created a file, so only you can give the permission to the only certain users only, or certain groups only, or certain users only, right? But the lot of encryption related issues will be there, and some other issues also there, right? And what about the durability? Yes, durability means you can store for a longer time. Scalability, yes, it will support even scalability as well, up to certain level. Let me uh, tell you that up to certain level it will support the scalability as well, but it will become inefficient when when the number of users or number of data is very very huge value. You can think of the big data, right? When the data is very huge, then file based approach will be kind of very difficult and very inefficient of also, right? In terms of scalability, backup and recovery options, right? Come in the paper based approach, you can't even assume about think about a backup and recovery. Once the damage is happened, there is no chance of recovering the data, but here what, there is a chance is there, there is a support is there, you can recover the data, But yeah, everything is a manual here, right? Still manual. You need to do manually recovery, right? What about the data consistency? Let me tell you, still lot of data consistency problems are there, because you don't have certain validations. You are not enforcing any rules to the data, right? You are just simply storing the data. Simply storing the data doesn't help us in any way. You need to enforce certain rules and regulations to store the data, how you need to store the data, something like that. But there is no option in the file based approach as well, right? How can you avoid? We will see in the next coming approaches, right? Maybe in file based file management system we will again see the data consistency related thing, and again then how DBMS is handling all these problems in a very systematic way. The final goal is to understand how the DBMS is providing the systematic approach to avoid all these problems. That is the reason. So we have introduced the terminology in a very starting lectures itself, so that when you comes to the understanding the DBMS, then it will become very easier for you, right? What about the multi-user access, right? Yes, what about the multi-user access? At a time accessing the data, right? Files. Is that possible? Assume you are using the spreadsheet, right? At a time, can't we use that spreadsheet or not? Yes, but what happens at a time if you use the spreadsheet? There may be chance that some or other person may override the data that you have written or some other people might have written, right? There is a chance of that. So there are a lot of conflicts will happen, right? Yes, again redundancy. So we have already seen redundancy will be very high in terms of, even if you are using the file based system also. Data integrity, right? Still data integrity problems also there here. You are not completely avoiding the data integrity as well here also, right? You can't say that it is accurate data and all, right? Because you don't have any certain kind of rules, right? What about the automation support here? Yes, it is supporting. See, in earlier versions, I mean, like in manual approach, you can't even think of the automation, right? No, but now when it comes to the file based system, then if you are very good with programming languages, maybe the Python and all, right, you can write some kind of automation scripts, or maybe you can use the Unix based approach, Unix shell scripting, and you can automate the scripts, automate the files, right? Yes, there is a lot of problems, lot of difficulty, lot of challenges will be there still, but it is supporting the automation as well, right? And reporting and analysis, like we have seen already Excel, right? Whenever you are using the Excel for the storing the data, right, you can very well manually create the some kind of reports, but for that you should have a knowledge in Excel, okay? And what kind of businesses it is very much suitable for, right? The small organizations with a limited data, moderate data, right? It is very well good, right? All right. So then what is the solution? Again, even though you are using the digital approach, maybe the computer based approach, still there is a lot of problems related to the data security, data consistency, data integrity, right? And automation related issues are there, reporting related issues are there. I mean, like limited, right? So we need a more systematic approach, more better approach, more robust approach for storing the data. That is why, so what they did in earlier days, right, they come up with the approach called the file management system. File management system. On top of the files, computer based files, right, whenever you are using the data files for storing the data, on top of these files we are going to apply some intelligence, some programmatical capabilities to the files. This approach, using which you are storing the data and managing the data in a more clear way, in a more better approach. Are you getting? So you are going to enforce certain kind of rules, right? And you're going to avoid a lot of duplications, and you are organizing the everything very properly, right? And version control, and also a facility will be there for version control as well, and better data retrieval and easier collaboration between the files, right? So we're going to see all of these things, how the file management system is working. So now we are in this today's lecture, we mainly focused on the file based approach. How can you store the data manually in the files, computer files? For this approach, there are a lot of problems still there. How can you avoid certain problems using by applying the certain intelligence to the system, which is the file management system, right? Something like that. Like you can see we have organized everything in the folder separately. Yes, I can see that it is a subset of a file based system, right? File based system is a subset of file management system. That is what I meant, right? But you're going to write some kind of application programs for that. You're going to add some kind of intelligence to the system so that you can avoid certain problems. From the file management system, how we move further and using the database. That is our main goal. You need to understand the features of the database management system, right? In the next lecture we will see file management system, right? Thank you guys.